Hi guys, and welcome back to the Insatiable Gamer YouTube channel. My name's Robbie, and I'm your tech editor today, and we're looking at reviews and stuff. After our last Dell G5 review, there were some really lovely comments, and I just want to thank you guys for that. That was really cool. Shout out to Ben Hur, who left a really lovely comment. So, made my day. Have a free game on us. It'll be an indie title of some kind. I haven't decided which one, but you should definitely message us and we'll just pick out something. We're going to start doing that at the end of every tech video now. So either make me laugh or say something nice. I don't know. We'll just pick out the best comment each time and you'll get a game.
Tickle his ego a little bit.
That works. Like, that's how you get free shit. Today we're going to be taking a look at the HP x360 Envy. It is a 2-in-1 Ultrabook style device. It is a 13-inch model. Its model number is 13AG0015AU, which is really convoluted, but I guess when there's sort of like 12 different SKUs, you've got to throw some numbers in there to differentiate. This model comes packed with a 2500U, 256GB SSD, NVMe SSD as well, so it's high speed. Comes with 16GB of 2400MHz DDR4 RAM, and oh yeah, oops, the stylus. It's pretty cool. More on that later. Coming in at a slender 1.5mm in thickness, the actual dimensions themselves are 30.5mm by 21.5, which is about the same size as a piece of A4 paper. Although it does weigh a lot more than a piece of A4 paper, coming in at 1.3 kgs, as opposed to, how much does a piece of paper weigh?
It's 80 grams per square meter.
Okay, wasn't expecting you to know that. I was going to get you to weigh one. They call this colour scheme dark ash silver, but I'm not super sold on that name. I really like the colour, but me personally, I think it looks more purpley brown, than dark ash silver. I don't know.
Well, it looks dark ash silver to me. Just dark ash, not even really silver.
Yeah, well, I think that's what threw me off, is the silver part. I don't really know if it looks that silver to me.
Good place for a nap, buddy.
So, as you can see, Walter's always just going to be in these videos from now, because he has no concept of work ethic, do you, mate? I do really love the new HP logo, all those nice clean lines as far as design goes. It really tickles me. I also love the accents along the back of the hinge. It's super, super pretty. You only really notice it so much when it's in temp mode, or you're using it something like that. Being a 2-in-1, obviously the screen is a massive draw for it. This one is packing a 13.3-inch screen, multi-touch display, it's 1080p, and it's backlit using WLED technology. The reason they use that in this sort of device is it creates a lot thinner screen than a standard LED backlight, which takes up a wee bit more space. The viewing angles in this thing are actually very impressive. You can almost get to a full 180 degrees and still be able to make out the picture, although I will say it's only 250 nits peak brightness and it's not ideal for direct sunlight. Color space coverage is actually okay, reaching 89% of the sRGB color gamut. I wouldn't say it's ideal for photo production and things, but you're not really going to notice it unless you're a photography or video nerd. The stylus on it draws actually very, very nicely. It's something I wasn't actually sure was going to be a massive drawing point for me. Oh god, that's a shitty pun. Anyway, I didn't know if I was going to use it that much. I thought it was going to be maybe a wee bit gimmicky, but I found myself actually using it a lot more for navigation than I would the trackpad. Especially in tablet mode or on the couch, it's a lot easier to have it propped up on its screen by itself and just use the pen to just move around. It did take my wife a week or two to figure out that the buttons on the stylus were your mouse buttons.
You too kind of took me like 3.5 weeks.
Really?
It was by complete accident. I'm like, what does this do? And I was just like,
okay.
Idiot.
So maybe you should read the manual when you unpack it and you can work out what it actually does.
Maybe you should tell your wife how things work before you just hand them over to her.
Though I am pretty notorious for losing things, I did have to go and check on the HP website, and you can buy replacements of just the stylus, because I'm not a very good human.
What did you lose?
I lost my AirPods.
How much did that cost?
250, 260.
How unhappy is your wife?
She's pretty happy in my marriage. We're pretty confident together.
How much does she like you as a person?
Oh, like not at all. So along the left hand side of the machine, you've got a USB 3.1 Gen 1 port, a headphone and microphone jack, a power button, and a micro SD slot. On the right hand side, you've got the power jack, another USB 3.1 Gen 1 port, a USB-C 3.1 Gen 2 port, and a volume rocker. Unfortunately, there's no Thunderbolt 3, but that's down to this being an AMD based system and Thunderbolt is an Intel technology. However, you can charge this device using USB-C, although you are going to want to tread quite carefully as you want to match up what the power output to your USB-C charger and what this thing can actually take. If you plug something in that's a little bit too powerful, you are going to fry it, and no one wants that. You don't want to let that magic blue smoke out on a brand new device. As far as the camera goes, it does have Windows Hello, which is an infrared system for facial recognition to log into your machine. I found it to be actually on par with my iPhone as far as how speedy it is. Just be prepared to go through and train it a bit more for it to be a bit more reliable. As far as the full-fledged webcam itself goes, I believe it's supposed to be 720p, though even in ideal lighting situations like right now with two massive windows and some lights in my face, the colors still look really washed out. I look really blue or grey, and it's just not that strong of a performer. I'm real sick of these sort of devices and laptops and things having webcams that are used for conference calling that are just the same as they were when there was back in 2001. How is it that we can pack such tiny little cameras in the front of smartphones, but then as soon as you go to build a laptop, you put in like the cheapest one you can possibly find? It's not fair. I'm over it. Give people good webcams. So let's talk about some of the options. There's a host of Intel options available as well, but because we've got an AMD system, let's just focus on those ones. On hand at the moment, we have the 2500U. Also available is the 2700U, which is a higher end chip and the same size device. However, the 2500U is a happy middle point between that, and it doesn't waste a lot of headroom on performance because the cooling solution itself is actually quite small. HP has also been very conservative as far as its max temperatures are concerned. Hitting around 70 degrees will cause the CPU to roll back and throttle somewhat. It's not the worst throttling I've seen. It does leave me desiring a wee bit more, considering that CPU could just get a little bit hotter and you can get a wee bit more performance out of it. I'd imagine this was done in order to keep the device relatively quiet. On day-to-day use, it is almost silent. I did notice that the fan ramps up at random times when it doesn't appear to be actually doing anything. I actually have a theory about this. I think that could be down to the thermal interface material, so basically your thermal paste. I don't believe it's creating contact as well as it should be. I think upgrading that from the stock paste to a higher performance interface material, you may see improved temperatures, not by much, like marginally, but it may stop that sort of random spike in fan noise. I do wish that the fan curve was controllable though. That's kind of annoying because that would just be a software fix. So speaking of performance, because at the end of it, that's why you clicked on this video, you didn't come here to see me, you came here to see this. So with that said, let's dive in and see how this thing chooches. In Heaven Benchmark, we were averaging frames around 10. Whilst not the most impressive score when comparing to a gaming laptop itself with a dedicated GPU, these numbers aren't actually too terrible. At this point, the CPU hadn't quite reached 70 degrees, and so it was turboing quite well, but once it did, it ended up settling in at around 7. In IDA 64, it initially turboed up to 3.2 GHz, then dropped to 2.52 GHz, sitting there happily for 1 minute 41 seconds before dropping to its final resting place at 1.5 GHz. Temperatures peaked at around 80 degrees just before it dropped. Chassis temperatures were another thing I was concerned about. All in all, the keyboard itself didn't get too hot and the trackpad was even cooler, managing around 36 degrees and 26 degrees respectively. The hottest part of the machine ended up being the exhaust, which, as you can imagine, got pretty toasty at around 38 degrees. Night Raid is the latest benchmarking tool from 3D Mark. The 2500U managed to perform really well in this test. The final score ended up being 5624, which was just shy of 200 above what my Skylake 6700K scored. Though considering the sheer size difference, I'd say this is a pretty impressive result. All in all, this is actually a really great machine. It has high performance in a very small package and is very portable. It has an awesome battery life, averaging around 7 to 8 hours of moderate use throughout the day. A super speedy NVMe SSD drive, which is awesome for boot, and the hard drive is upgradable, which is a really nice touch. It has an okay range of I/O. Anymore, I think it would end up being a wee bit overcrowded. You do have that USB Type-C, so as far as adapting things onto it, you have that option. Also, the flexibility of use is really cool. Being able to fold it up on the couch is quite nifty, and using it as a screen and stopping any errant cats from crawling all over the keypad and messing up what you're trying to write is awesome. Moving on to some things that I didn't quite like about this thing. The driver support is a little bit funny. As with all of the AMD systems that are coming out in these Ultrabook range, or actually any mobile APU, a lot of the drivers have to be pushed from the OEM themselves, in this case HP. So the drivers are only available through their upgrade software or on their website. And you can't just go to AMD and download the latest drivers, which puts you at somewhat of a disadvantage to a lot of other gamers who can get those early patch releases. Although as far as gaming on this thing is concerned, it does, but should you? It's up to you. It runs Fortnite, which I guess now that I mentioned it, I can put it in the tags, so now I have to show it running Fortnite, so let's do that. I mean, it does run, it's just not really the best. In the high impact areas, we were getting frame rates of around 19 to 15, which isn't super playable, as you can see here. There's only two other things that really annoyed me about this thing. The RAM is soldered onto the board, which is really unfortunate because it takes away from the upgradability side of things. Being able to upgrade the hard drive is awesome, but also being able to upgrade the RAM is also super necessary. I don't really know how much space removing DIMM slots and soldering shit onto the board actually saves, but it's just kind of an annoyance for the end user. With that said, 16 gig of RAM is definitely going to last me a very long time. I don't see me needing much more in this form factor. In fact, 8 would probably suffice just fine. The only other thing that was a bit of a letdown was the random fan noise. I believe that's due to possibly the thermal interface material not contacting the die correctly, or it's just not as effective as it should be. I think I kind of want to try swapping it out for something a wee bit better, like Thermo Grizzly Cryonaut I might throw in there, or maybe a liquid metal it. But that could be for another video. Let me know in the comments below if you think I should throw liquid metal in it, that's if they let us keep it, or whether it's worth investigating. Anyway, I think that about wraps it up for this video, guys. I just want to say again, a massive thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, thanks for liking, thanks for doing all those awesome things. From now on, we're going to start doing giveaways at the end of every video. So, as we said earlier, Ben Hur, if you can message us, I've got a free game for you. I don't know what one yet, but we'll find out. We'll make it up and we'll throw it your way. If anyone else wants to win a game in the next video, just leave a comment below, whether it's funny or something nice. We'll just pick our favorites and you'll get a game. Simple as that. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.